So, earlier this year, I got a request from a subscriber for what I thought were the best 10 anime dubs, and I told him that I'd get around to it probably at the end of the year. The reasons I put this list off are two. The first being that I wanted to wait until I had watched at least 100 anime before I started making top 10 lists about them. And the second being that I'm not much of a critic, no matter how professional I sound when I talk about things like this. Even now, I don't feel like I can pin 10 anime dubs that I think are far and above all the others, and I've only watched little over 100 at this point, and not even all of those were in English. That being said, I can definitely narrow down a top 5 fabulous English dubs of anime that really did impress me, and I think most people can agree that they're pretty spot on. With as much reasoning and scruples as I could muster, I give to you what I believe are the top 5 best English dubs of Japanese anime. Number 5. Death Note. Let's start off with a very basic statement. Whether someone watches something in English or Japanese with English subtitles, it's completely subjective to the preference and opinions of that individual. The exact same rule applies to handing out recommendations. Death Note is on this list, albeit at the bottom, because I feel that it's a great example of the English being on par with its Japanese counterpart. Some people might call it better, but it is far cry from being worse, and I think this is a point that needs to be made. It doesn't matter the language as long as the point and the feeling of the anime get across and you can understand it. It shouldn't make a difference as to how you decide to listen to it. Number 4. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. In a similar strain, but slightly different, I come to the next entry on this list. However, this time I have to admit I have seen no part of this series in Japanese, so I can't very well make the comparison I did with Death Note. With that confession out of the way, here's why Gurren Lagann's dub is worth the time. Every now and again, I come across a series that's fun, fast-paced, energetic, and to quote every other person on the internet, gets you pumped. Gurren Lagann is that kind of series. A dub can really make or break a series for those who prefer their English voices, and this is one of those cases where voice acting and direction were really amazing and truly brought out the best of the animation. Some of the best dubs are when you don't need to compare them to their subtitled counterparts to get a feel of how to rank them. On a directing note, I would just like to point out that as a rule, if an English dub of an anime is directed by Tony Oliver, it's likely to be above par for the course. Number 3. Cowboy Bebop. A legendary anime and likewise a legendary dub. I just have to have this one on the list, and I'll go ahead and give the story why. Cowboy Bebop is credited with being one of the first anime where a dub was actually taken seriously. Most early anime dubs are cringy at best, so this one was a real godsend. You can actually hear the appropriate emotions and vocal inflections of each of the characters, and the lines are delivered amazingly. Coupled with the amazing story and animation, Bebop sparked a major interest in Japanese animation in the West, and we can really see how far it's come since then. Now those 3 are representative of some pretty basic rules for an English dub grading standard for what a good dub should sound like. Now I'm going to give you the final 2 anime that are no doubt amazing to listen to in English, and why it is that in these rare cases I feel the English language edition really should be taken over the subtitles. Number 2. Romeo x Juliet. Not every dub is given the kind of opportunity it takes to make an English adaptation better than its Japanese counterpart, but Funimation got one and took it in this case. Script adaptation is a very important part of bringing an anime from Japan to the West. Without the right people behind it, a lot of things tend to get lost in translation, and with them the meaning behind anything from offhanded comments of the characters to the narrative of a series as a whole. In a case like Romeo x Juliet, the feeling, characters, and narrative all manage to remain intact, while also being translated into Shakespearean English. Now that's no small thing, and given the nature and setting of the show, the voice performances carry the choice of the script change and enhance the series as a whole, all while remaining understandable to the audience, and that's something that can be tough to pull off with Shakespeare. Before I go on to my 5th and final entry on this list, I'll give you the honorable mentions that just didn't quite fit onto it for reasons. Hetalia. Because if countries of the world are going to be personified, I think the various accents are necessary. It's all too bad that the script adaptation in this case, in the English version, takes away most of the original meaning to a lot of the scenes. Supernatural, the animation. I can really appreciate casting the actors from the original live-action show as the Winchesters, but other than that, the dub is pretty blasé. Yu Yu Hakusho, if not just for the sake of a 14-minute video compilation of Jerry Jewell spouting near incomprehensible Irish babble. And Yu-Gi-Oh! You see, it's a mention because I knew no one would take this seriously if it was on the actual list, and I'm not talking about the uncensored Singapore dub either. But whatever, that's a video for another time. Now, onto the number one anime that I can only recommend to people in English and no other language. Number 1, Bakano. Above and beyond is what this dub is. Like Romeo x Juliet, there was an opportunity to be had, and it was taken. Basically, everything about it is a testament to how great a dub can be. The voices cast for the characters are amazing, the accents are brilliant, and the script is perfectly adapted to the period in which it takes place. All the class and culture of the era can be heard by just listening to the dub alone, and that's maybe without knowing how much research went into accurately portraying it. What's more, you can pretty much hear how much fun the voice actors were having doing it. Whether it was in the commentary on the DVD episodes, or when I met the voice actors in person, it was really super cool that they all remember this underrated series. They remember who their character was, and they want another season to return to the roles. Essentially, all this stuff rolled into one is how I would categorize a perfect English dub. If not near perfect, because it's pretty circumstantial and subjective. Either way, Bakano was meant for this kind of dubbing quality, and if you're an English speaker wanting to try the series out, do not watch it subtitled, because you are truly doing yourself a disservice. And there you go, people of Earth and elsewhere, my top 5 English dubs of Japanese anime. Now again, these are my own opinions, and while I don't think I'd change the order anytime soon, I'd love to know what you guys think, particularly if you've seen some stuff with a super stellar English adaptation. Tell me about it in the comments. Thanks to all of you who have managed to watch the video up until this point, I appreciate it very much. While we're talking about and or arguing about anime dubs, please feel free to recommend me some anime to watch or videos you'd like to see me make in the future. Also, fan art ideas and constructive criticism are welcome at all times. Of course, if you'd like to see more, subscribe to this channel or follow me on Twitter to see what I'm up to. Links to this picture on DeviantArt in the description below. Once again, thanks for checking this out, and I hope to see you in the next video. Ciao!